Hi BookTube, it's Missy, and today I'm here to share with you guys a bookshelf tour. Woo! Haven't done one of these since last year's summer. I have more shelves this year, so it's going to be interesting. I will have to do a lot of the filming with just my hand holding the camera, so if it gets shaky at times, I do apologize. I am trying to hold it as steady as possible. These can get very long because I do have a very large amount of books. So how we're going to do this is I'm going to go shelf by shelf. These videos are going to be in parts, so it's going to be one shelf per video. That way it's not too long. I will try to upload a few shelves a day. That way you're not waiting forever for each shelf. All of my books are by genre, so if you don't like nonfiction or classics, you can always skip those videos and watch the ones that you want to watch. The first 3 shelves here that I'm going to be talking about are books that I've already read, so I will be doing little mini reviews on each book. Hopefully that doesn't take too long. I'll say, you know, if I liked it or not, if it's like adult or middle grade or, you know, YA, stuff like that. And yeah, just if I enjoyed it and what it's about. And the rest of the books, I don't know what they are about, so I'll give you a little synopsis if I remember. And that's it. So let's get started with the first shelf. The first shelf, oh, by the way, the first 3 shelves are not by genre because they're all books that I've read, so it's mingled. They're all together. Okay, here is book 1. Ernest Cline's Armada. He is also the author of Ready Player One. This is a YA sci-fi book about a boy who has to save the world from aliens. There's a lot of 80s references in it. People tried to compare this book to Ready Player One because Ready Player One also has a lot of 80s references in it. But this one is more talking about 80s movies and TV shows that are sci-fi based and are about aliens and spacecrafts and all of that stuff. I did enjoy it. I think I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't as good as Ready Player One, but definitely worth the read. The end was a little cheesy, but that's okay. I did really enjoy this this story. The next book I have here is City of Bones, the first book in the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book she wrote, I believe, in the Shadowhunter world. I really enjoy this cover a lot more than the other ones with the people. I wish all of them were just cityscapes. I like how it's the Shadowhunter, like the building here on top of New York skyline. It's just so cool. Anyways, this is about a girl named Clary who finds out one day that she is not all human, that she is part angel, and that she is a shadow hunter. Shadow hunters are here to protect the human race from downworlders and other creatures that could hurt them. And it's a cool concept. I have not finished the series, so I don't know how the whole thing plays out. It gives City of Bones, I believe, 4 stars. It's good, it's not great. And I'm not really into Clary. I think she's obnoxious. But I do like the side characters. This book here is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This is my absolute favorite edition of this book. I love the stars. They do have like a hollow kind of feel when you turn it in the light. And of course the spine is striped, which I absolutely love as well. This is a YA young adult fantasy about 2 magicians who have to compete in the night circus, and the winner takes all. It's also kind of a love story. I just enjoyed it immensely. And if you aren't interested in dense fantasies, this isn't a high fantasy, but it is dense in the way it's written. I would recommend listening to it on audio. The narrator is the same person who narrates the Harry Potter series. Very, very good. I absolutely loved it. His voice is amazing. Next I have, I don't know if you can see it better that way, the Infernal Devices trilogy. This is the Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess. This is all by Cassandra Clare. This is the prequel to the Mortal Instruments. I think it's set in like the late 1800s. It's so good. This is my favorite from Cassandra Clare so far. I mean, I know that I haven't finished the Mortal Instruments, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna enjoy these books a lot more. For some reason, maybe because the story is shorter. I don't know. I just really like the characters. This is Will Herringdale. We have Jem and Tessa, and these two are shadow hunters. Tessa doesn't know what she is. She comes to these boys for help to find her brother, and the story goes from there. I absolutely loved this series, like I said before. I think I gave them all 5 stars. Definitely this one. This one is the best ending to a trilogy I have ever read, and I won't say why. It's just so good. It's so good. Definitely pick these up if you like urban fantasy. Last book in that first little section is Night Film by Marisha Pessl. She's only written 2 books that I know of. The first book is Special Topics in Calamity Physics, which I'm actually currently reading. This is a adult thriller mystery. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. It was my second, top 2 of 2015, I think. It's a little bit strange at times, but it's definitely worth the read. I absolutely enjoyed it. The next book I have here is Red Spikes by Margot Lanigan. I own a lot of her books. I haven't read all of them. I have read, of course, this one. This is a collection of short stories that are all very, very twisted, super weird, definitely dark. Margot Lanigan is also the author of Tender Morsels, which, if you've seen the cover, I will, of course, show it to you later on in this bookshelf tour. But it's a retelling of Snow White, and it's supposed to be really weird and gross, and I can't wait to pick it up. This one is lovely. I absolutely adored it. Okay, I have here another collection of short stories. This one is by Yoko Ogawa, a Japanese author. This has been translated. She is also the author of The Housekeeper and the Professor and Hotel Iris. I have read Hotel Iris, which was a S&M Japanese story. It was very strange. But anyways, this revenge story is 11 dark tales. So not like Red Spikes, where there are all these different short stories and they don't connect. All 11 of these stories connect. It all takes place in the exact same town. And actually, I think it's the same town from Hotel Iris, if I'm not mistaken, because they both talk about a fountain. So if you like connecting short stories, I would highly recommend this. Yoko Ogawa is definitely a very cool and strange writer. This is my favorite book that I have read by her, or collection that I've read by her, and I do have her other works, so I'm looking forward to that. The next book I have here is a graphic novel. This is Something New, Tales from a Makeshift Bride by Lucy Neasley. I have read quite a few of her books. This is the only one I own. All of her books are memoirs or, you know, things about her. This is her getting married. All of the information that it took, what she did in order to plan for her wedding, how she made it her own. Cool. I mean, just, this book is so cool. If you are going to be a bride, or you love reading about weddings and all that jazz, I recommend picking this book up. It's just a fun read, and Lucy has amazing illustrations in her books. They're so detailed. I just love them. So yeah, pick them up, pick them up. Alright, the next 2 books I have here is Cinder and Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. These are the first 2 books in the Lunar Chronicles. I keep meaning to buy Cress and Winter, I just haven't yet. I haven't even finished this quartet, is that what they're called? I don't know. The 4 books in this series. I haven't read Winter, Don't Kill Me. I do, however, enjoy the books in this series. Cress was my favorite. Cinder was really good. These are all retellings. So Cinder is a retelling of Cinderella, and Scarlet is a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood. And these are YA sci-fi fantasy books. They're so fun, and if you like retellings, I would definitely pick these books up. They have great characters, great love interests, and all that jazz. The next book I have here is The 52nd by Della. This is a it's a fantasy book about an Aztec culture that are also gods, and there's a prophecy. It kind of reminded me of Twilight, but with Aztecs. Now, I don't want to make it sound like this book is not good, because I know lots of people talk stink about the Twilight series. If you liked Twilight, you will definitely like The 52nd. It's just a very fun love story, and I very much enjoyed it, and I appreciate that Della sent it to me. And yeah, it's different. I've never read any books about Aztec gods or prophecies, so that was definitely cool to read about. Okay, next we have the first and second book in Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. This is a paranormal, I would say. It's not horror, it's paranormal, and it's historical fiction, and it's about these creepy kids that live in this house, and this boy who has to discover them, and an adventure that they go on together. There is a third book, Library of Souls, which I have not read yet. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I did enjoy both of these books. Another thing that these books have are pictures inside, very creepy pictures, which makes the books more fun to read. So if you like pictures in your books, and you like paranormal and creepy kids and kind of like circusy kind of things, I would definitely pick these books up. They're fun to read. The next book I have here is Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. This is not the first book, this is the second book she wrote, and I would say that this is not my favorite. I don't know, Gillian Flynn's writing is very hard for me to talk about. I've given all of her books 4 stars. I hate them all and love them all equally. Their characters are always very flawed. This one was the least offensive to me, if that makes sense. I wasn't super upset with the main character in this one as much as I was in the other 2 books. So if you like thrillers and you like Gillian Flynn and you haven't picked up Sharp Objects, I would definitely do so. The ending I did not see coming, and it totally freaked me out. Next we have a horror classic. This is the Amityville Horror, A True Story by Jay Anson. This is an old edition of this book, which I absolutely love owning. This is an adult horror. It's about a family, if you haven't heard of the story before, that move into a haunted house, and lots of bad things happen in so I think it's like 30 days they're there. Maybe it's less days. I can't remember. It's a little cheesy, and when you've seen the movie and you've seen other scary stories, this one is pretty tame as the story goes. I definitely wasn't scared after reading this book, but it was definitely fun to read. The next book I have here is another horror classic, and this is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, and this is the Horror Penguin edition. It's got black pages, which is super awesome. Please excuse any road noise. It's just way too hot for me to close the window. I wish I enjoyed this book more. It wasn't as good as We Have Always Lived in the Castle. It wasn't scary. I didn't like any of the characters. The main character was flat for me. I gave this book 3 stars, and the only reason why I am keeping it is because it's so gorgeous. Otherwise, I would have given it away. Yeah, so good. Next book I have here is Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. This is the first book I've read from Chuck, and it's just like the movie but more gruesome. If you enjoyed the movie, you're definitely going to like the book. I love Chuck's writing. It's very straightforward and clipped, and just, I don't know, there's nothing flowery about his writing. It's like getting punched in the face over and over again. It's witty and different, and this book is about a man who is depressed and goes to support groups for different illnesses and diseases to feel like his life isn't that bad because there's people that are worse off than he is. And then he meets Tyler Durden. I think that's how you say his name. And there's shenanigans that happen after that. This is an adult book, definitely adult. And if you, like I said, if you enjoyed the movie, definitely pick up the book. Just looking through this book again, I want to reread it. Okay, we have Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters by Jane Austen and Ben H. Winters. This is by Quark Books, a very silly retelling, or not even retelling. It's exactly Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen, but instead of the girls just being girls, they have to deal with sea monsters. I can't describe to you how amazing this book is. Out of all of the silly retellings of Jane Austen's stories or other classics, this one by far is my favorite, and I do have quite a few of them. I have read Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, but this one just is so much better. I don't know why. It's so good. If you like Sense and Sensibility, if that is a Jane Austen book that you have read and reread, pick up this book. It may seem like something that you wouldn't like, but it's the exact same story, word for word, just with sea monsters added to it, which makes it so amazing. Next we have Coma by Alex Garland. He is also the writer of The Beach and 28 Days Later. I am still currently reading The Beach. I don't know why I put it down, but it's good. This one, however, is really fun. It's about a man who goes into a coma, and he knows he's in a coma, but he's trying to figure out how to get out of this coma. And how strange would it be to know that you are alive, but nobody else does? And the doctors know he's sleeping, but they kind of want to pull the plug. It's so good. It's short and to the point and just fun to read, and I definitely want to reread it one day. All of these books that I have are books, I keep them because they have rereadable value. They will be something that I could reread in the future. Next I have Hellhole by Gina D'Amico. This is the arc of this book. I still haven't purchased any of D'Amico's books, and for some reason I'm slacking on that. This book was so fun. It's a YA story about a boy who has to dig for some reason in the middle of the night to help him sleep. And one night he digs the hole too deep and a demon comes out, and now he's stuck with this demon and he has to figure out how to get the demon back to hell. God, it's such a funny read. D'Amico is the best at writing funny stories. I've talked about her several times on this channel. If you haven't read her Croak trilogy about Grim Reapers, I would definitely pick those up. They're all YA, super funny. Gina just has a great sense of humor, and I just love her dialogue in her books. All right, next I have the Skinjacker trilogy. We have Ever Lost, Ever Wild, and Ever Found. Excuse the glare on all of these glossy covers. This is by Neal Shusterman. This is a middle grade YA paranormal series about two kids who get in a car accident and die on the same day, but instead of going to an afterlife or a heaven, they are stuck in limbo, or on Earth, but in the background. So Earth is, or the world is working just like it usually does, but they are invisible to them. They're on the same plane, but not. And these two characters, or two kids, have to figure their way around this weird afterlife and how they're going to leave this place and move on, either to heaven or wherever you go after you die. They meet a whole bunch of kids and all these different things happen. It's quite an adventure. There's a great villain that ends up not being as villainy as everyone thinks. So it's definitely a fun story because everyone gets redemption. So yes, I would definitely pick these up. If you like ghost stories, this is really cool. And I won't talk about the Skinjacker part because that is the funnest to read about. And you will read it when you pick these up. Definitely do it. Do it. Do it. Okay, next I have the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. We have Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, and Ruin and Rising. The Grisha are a magical people that have elemental powers, so they can control wind, water, fire, stuff like that. Our main character, Alina, doesn't know that she's Grisha, but she does find that out in like the first chapter or two. This is a great fantasy if you like reading. It's not, I wouldn't say high fantasy or epic fantasy, but it's definitely different than what I'm used to reading. I like staying in the fairy tale realm of fantasy because it's familiar to me. The characters' names in these books are pretty hard to read. And so the first book I was able to read really quickly. I think I read it in a day. But the second and third books I had to pick up on audio. I just couldn't keep track of all the different character names for some reason. And my favorite character out of this, of course, is the Darkling. And he's the villain. And if you haven't read these books, you should, because they're amazing. And yeah, I absolutely love them. Overall, the entire series is a 4.5 star. Each book individually has some flaws to them, but overall it's a great fantasy. Okay, and the last book in the back of this shelf is Dracula by Bram Stoker. This is the illustrated edition by Becky Clowen. I love this book. I didn't think I would like Dracula as much as I did. I did do a book versus movie review on my channel on this series. The book is definitely not the same as the movie. I hate how Hollywood turned Dracula into this romantic creature, because the book, he's definitely not like that. And yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but I would definitely try the classic if you liked the movie, because this is so much better. Next we have The Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. This is the movie tie-in edition, which I'm not mad at. I really, really like this movie. I know some people hate it. Some people think it's super cheesy, but I really, really liked it. So we have the first book, which is Vampire Academy. Then we have Frostbite, book 2. Then we have Shadow Kiss, book 3. And Blood Promise, book 4. Spiritbound, book 5. And lastly, the 6th book, Last Sacrifice. This one is the fattest of the entire series. This series is a YA urban fantasy. These are teenagers. They have, you know, teenage things that they have to deal with, like dances and boys and boyfriends and schoolwork and being in the best clique that you can. It's super cheesy, but I absolutely loved this series. I love, 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 love Rose and Dimitri. I love their romance. I love the whole series because of Rose and Dimitri. The best friend is, you know, she's okay, but she's a little snobby and a little naive. But yeah, Rose is super kick-ass. And I would definitely recommend reading these books just for the dialogue and the writing style alone. Rochelle Mead has a great way of writing, and even if you don't like vampires, I would read this anyway. I don't know. My tastes may be different from other people. I read for entertainment purposes, and this is such a fun series to read. Okay, next I have here We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. This is the Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition. I absolutely love this edition. I absolutely love this classic. It's creepy. This is my first Shirley Jackson book, and it was just so good. It's about two sisters that live in a house. They are outcasts in this town. They have a creepy past where the entire family was poisoned and murdered. They don't know who killed the family. They assume it was this girl here, but we don't know. And yeah, I really, really liked it. It's so good. The next book we have here is In the Woods by Tana French. This is the first book in the Dublin Murder series. I think that's what it's called. I really liked it. This is a murder mystery story that takes place in Dublin, Ireland, and our main character is a detective who at one point in his past dealt with something that is now coming back in his adulthood, and the crime that he has to investigate is taking place in his hometown, which is making it more personal to him, and it's harder for him to do his job. And then of course he has his partner, who I enjoyed reading about a lot more than our main character. He seemed a little selfish to me, but I did overall enjoy this book, and I cannot wait to continue with the series. This is an adult mystery thriller. Okay, the next book I have here is Austenland by Shannon Hale. I don't read many romance, like straight romance books or chick lit books, because it's a little cheesy to me. I mean, I enjoy a romance every once in a while, but I don't usually purchase them with that as its sole purpose. But if it has to do with Jane Austen, I have to either read it or watch it. I love Jane Austen, and this is such a good book. It's very short. It's about a girl who cannot find love because all she ever does is compares the people that she's with to Mr. Darcy. Now, Mr. Darcy is some giant boots to fill, and that's all she wants. And her aunt decides to send her to Austenland in England because the girl is from America. She thinks that this will help her get her out of her Jane Austen obsession. And so she goes to like a Regency Jane Austen type of like camp for adults, and they get to dress up and speak in the same kind of dialect as they did back then. And yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I just really enjoyed the characters, and of course the love story is extremely cute. So if you want a very short and super cutesy love story, I would definitely pick this one up. The next book I have here to show you is a nonfiction. This is Smoke Gets in Your Eyes and Other Lessons from the Crematory by Caitlin Doughty. This is basically a book about Caitlin's life when she started off her career as a crematorist, if that's how you say it, and how she ends up being a mortician. She started off doing crematory work and decided she wanted to do more and learn more about death and what happens when you die and what happens with your body after that, after it dies, and where it goes and so forth. And so she goes to mortician school. It's all super interesting. I just love the way it's written, how funny it is, even though it's about death, and why Caitlin got started in this business, like what events happened in her past that caused her to be interested in death itself. So extremely good nonfiction if you like reading about death, which I do because I'm morbid. But yeah, definitely pick it up. I just absolutely loved it. The next book I have here is Stardust by Neil Gaiman. Isn't this a gorgeous cover? I absolutely love it. This is an adult fantasy about a boy who crosses this wall that's in his town, and everybody knows about this wall. On the other side of the wall is like fairyland, and you're not really supposed to go over there, but once a year you can, to mingle with the folk, and there's like a carnival and all that stuff, and one day he does and finds out some things. And yeah, if you've seen the movie, again, all movies aren't as good as the books. I really, really like the book. It's a fantasy and a love story, and it's so good. I keep talking about love stories. I don't read love stories, but I do. They have to be set in a different genre than just a romance for me to like it. And this one is a fantasy romance, so it was very good. Next I have The Rules of Attraction by Bret Easton Ellis. This is a book about a college setting, a bunch of kids that drink really heavily and do lots of drugs and have lots of sex, and what happens in college. If you like American Psycho, then you'll like this book. I think I have only read 2 of Bret Easton Ellis's books, but I'm assuming because of his writing style and his voice that all of his books are similar in that they are all very like egotistical and narcissistic and very selfish and indulgent, if you want to call it that. It's fun to read, though. This is definitely a party book if you like watching or reading about parties. Okay, the next book I have here is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey. This is the Penguin edition. I really like this cover. It's super colorful. This is about a man who goes into a mental hospital and just interacts with the people there. And yeah, I definitely enjoyed the book more than the movie. I also have a book versus movie review on my channel. Got a lot of hate on that one. Don't know why. I enjoyed the fact that the main character of this book is actually the Native American and not the other character that is mostly focused on in the movie. Loved this classic. If you like mental health books and you like classics, I would definitely pick this book up. Alright, the next book I have here is Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love this movie and own it and have watched it hundreds of times, but then I, found out that there was an actual book and I had to own it, and it is the best ever. It is a middle grade fantasy. This is the only middle grade book that I actually keep on my shelves in my room. I don't know why. I think it's my favorite, that's why. In the movie, the characters are like late teens, early young adult, almost like 19, 20, I think. But in the book, they are little kids. And I just love it. And it's so cute, and it kept a smile on my face the whole time. This is definitely a 5-star read. If you just want whimsical, precious, lovely, entertaining, fun book, pick this up. Pick it up. Alright, every Stephen King lover should have On Writing, a memoir of the craft. This talks about how Stephen King writes, how he has his post-it notes, how he gets all of his detailing out, how he writes his stories. There is a part in the back that actually is kind of like a guideline if you want to write stories and how to do it. It's a brilliant book, very educational. I really enjoyed it. I do need to pick it back up. Definitely pick it up if you are interested in writing. Okay, and then I have Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lois Carroll. This again is a Penguin edition. This is the chalk Penguin edition, I think. I think that's what it's called. Puffin Chalk. Gosh, I don't know what it is about Alice's, like Alice in general, like what it is about her that attracts me so much to the story and the characters, but I just enjoy it so much. And this book is so fun to read. Definitely whimsical. Pretty much just like the Disney version of Alice. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Almost done, I promise. We have here Illuminae and Gemina, the first 2 books in the Illuminae files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is a sci-fi fantasy. It's a mixed media book. They're so fun to read. Illuminae, I would say, is a sci-fi horror, and Gemina is a sci-fi action. They're both different, but both the same. This one is about a ship that comes to destroy a colony on an asteroid, and the people, the survivors, have to escape the bad people. And then this is a book about the bad people trying to keep these survivors from entering a different like part of space. And you'll know what I'm talking about when you read the stories, but there is a jumping mechanism, a waypoint, where the ships go through the waypoint to get to other parts of the galaxy. And so in this book, the bad people are trying to keep everybody locked in, so the media and the rest of the world doesn't know what happened. It's so good. It's high-paced. I mean, the books are extremely large, and you get super scared about the length, but it's such a fast read. They can be read in one day. Definitely worth picking up. I love them so much. I think I gave them both 5 stars. The next book I have here is Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. This is the only book I've read by Alice. I really enjoyed it. It's about a girl who is murdered and watches what happens to her family after the fact from heaven. And it's like a murder mystery. The parents and the sister are trying to figure out what happened to her, and the main character can't really help because obviously she's dead, but she witnesses what's going on, and there's like that love. It kind of reminds me of What Dreams May Come, just because it's, you know, a loved one watching a family from heaven and trying to intervene to help out. So good. If you don't mind the beginning where she gets killed, you'll enjoy the rest of the book. Next we have The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Is this book worth the hype? I think so, only because it made me emotional, and I usually don't get super emotional in books. However, I didn't like bawl my eyes out. I did get teary-eyed. I thought it was a sweet book. The movie was also cute. I haven't read anything else by John Green, even though I own all of his books. I don't think that they're going to be as good as this one, and that's what everyone says. So we'll see. I'll try to get to the other ones eventually, but I did enjoy this one a lot. Alright, next we have Challenger Deep by Neal Shusterman. This is a YA mental illness book about a boy who has schizophrenia, and his way that he goes about discovering that he has schizophrenia and how his family deal with it and what happens with the aftermath, and how he, because there's no cure, but how, you know, he deals with it and lives with it. It's also a fantasy because the boy kind of copes with his mental illness by turning it into a fantastical story about a ship and how he is on this ship, and they're, you know, going to Challenger Deep, which is in the Marina Trench, and they're going to find Moby Dick, or, you know, the white devil. Yeah, it's really good, and it's Neal Shusterman's son has a mental illness, so he wrote knowing a lot of information. The next book I have here is Mosquitoland by David Arnold. This is a YA contemporary, one of the only real contemporaries that I've read and enjoyed. I don't read much contemporary. It's about a girl named Mo, who is traveling north from Mississippi to get away from her dad and her stepmom. She wants to go back to live with her real mom, and all of the things that happen on the way on this trip. There's self-discovery, there's new friendships, there are things that she has to deal with, and at the end it's pretty bittersweet, and I just really loved it. It's such a good story, and For this being the first book by this author, it's definitely amazing, and I can't wait to get to his other book. Next we have Grasshopper Jungle by Andrew Smith. All the ways I love this book, I cannot tell you. It's about two boys who accidentally release these giant grasshoppers into their small Midwestern town, and what happens when these killer grasshoppers take over. It's just great. It's got self-discovery, it's got sexual discoveries in it. The boy doesn't know whether he is maybe homosexual, maybe he's bisexual. He doesn't know, but he gets to find out throughout the book. And it's twisted and weird and just lots of boy humor, and I just really, really enjoyed it a ton. Oh, my precious. This is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This is my favorite Jane Austen book, besides Sense and Sensibility. I could read this book over and over and over again. I love it. Lizzie is my favorite. Yeah, what's to say about this book? Mr. Darcy is amazing, and it's Jane Austen, and I love this cloud. Was it Word Cloud? Yeah, Word Cloud Penguin edition is so good. It's so good. It's so pretty. And it's got such a great leather, like, I don't know. It's just beautiful. If you don't have one of these editions, you must get them. They're gorgeous. Next we have Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. This is another classic. This is taboo. This is about a man who is in love with a 12-year-old girl. I believe she's 12. I listened to this on audio. Jeremy Irons was the narrator, and it was absolutely amazing. I gave this book 5 stars. It's so good. Maybe it was 4.5. Regardless, Humbert is just a character in itself. It's just, I don't know how to describe it. I know some people are put off about the whole pedophile thing about this book, but I don't know. I'm not going to make excuses. I just think that he doesn't realize it's pedophilia. He just loves her for her. But maybe it is. I don't know. Great book though if you haven't read it yet. Then we have False Memory here by Dean Koontz. This is my favorite Dean Koontz book. It's very twisted. It's an adult thriller. It's about a woman who finds out that her best friend's therapist, who does, what's it called? Hypnotism, that he is doing something weird. So it's about hypnotism and false memories and death, and it's a great mystery, and I don't want to go any more into it because it'll ruin the story for you. But just think about that. Hypnotism. So good. I absolutely loved it. Next we have Redshirts by John Scalzi. Oh my gosh. This is a great sci-fi book. It's also like a parody of Star Trek. It's about a crew of people on a ship in space. They're going about their business, but there's always bad things that happen to this spacecraft, and all the crew members are dying, or they die, or whatever. And it's just a play on the Star Trek itself and their characters. And gosh, it was so fun to read. If you haven't read this book, I would definitely pick it up. The next book is With Malice by Eileen Cook. This is a YA mystery thriller about a girl with amnesia. She doesn't know what happened, but her best friend is dead, and she is trying to figure out what happened with her, her friend, with the trip that she went on. Nobody believes her, and the ending was amazing. The ending was so good, so good. I didn't even see it coming. That was the best ending I think I've ever read, truthfully. Okay, next I have The Grownup by Gillian Flynn. This is a teeny tiny hardback. It's a novella or a short story. It's about a palm reader who goes to a house to find out whether the son that lives there is being haunted or not. And this is the only story that I've read by Gillian Flynn where I didn't hate the main character. Down to the last 3 books. This is Lock-In by John Scalzi. He has a new book coming out hopefully soon. I don't know if it's this year or next year, but there is a sequel to this book. It is a sci-fi about people who got this really bad flu-like disease and became paralyzed in their bodies, and only their brains are functioning, but their muscles and all their bodies don't function anymore. So it's called Lock-In because they're alive and aware, but they just can't move their bodies. And so society has created these robots that are connected brain waves with the humans and the robot themselves. So the humans interact with society through robots because their brains are connected to the robot. So they have robot people. God, I am saying this so wrong. Yeah, it's so good. If you like sci-fi, I'd pick it up. I would definitely want a robot sometimes to go places for me, to interact with other people, maybe to go to work or to grab groceries so I could just stay in bed. That would be nice. But it's definitely a good book. It's a detective story, and it's a mystery, but it's also sci-fi. Pick it up. Then we have The Amazing Magicians by Lev Grossman. God, I love this book. 5 stars. Magical world with magicians and a magical school, and it's late teens, early young adults, and yeah, it's dark and twisted, and it's fairy tale-like, and it's amazing. And the very last book on this shelf is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. This is a brand new book. I believe it came out last year, maybe in October or November. I just loved it. It's about Jack the Ripper. It's about a girl who is in training to be a medical examiner or an undertaker like her uncle, and it's not very ladylike, but she wants to do it, and he's okay with that. And it's a mystery because we don't know who the killer is, and we have to find out. And the ending was amazing. I didn't think it was going to be who it ended up being, so that's cool. And the sequel's coming out, I believe, next month, so I'm super excited. Alright, that's it. That was the first shelf of all the books that I've read. I hope you enjoyed this very long bookshelf tour. I'm all sweaty now. I know I said that this bookshelf tour was going to be shorter, but because I did do mini reviews on all the books that I have read, it got a little bit long. I do apologize. I will leave timestamps down below just in case you want to skip around. But yes, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you pretty soon with the next installment of this bookshelf tour. Thanks for watching.